My wonderful, beautiful, amazing Leos. I'm Gabriella from Gabriella's Vampire Tarot. For this evening, I'm going to be doing your general reading, your past, present, future, 9-card spread. I'm going to be using the regular tarot deck, clarify with the vampire deck, draw a special vampire card, draw a vampire oracle, and finish off with 3 yes or no answers for thee. So let's get started with your reading. General card is the 5 of Cups reversed, overcoming some form of disappointment. So let's look at the first row. You start off with, my goodness, the Tower. Ooh. Aries energy, and then you get the Fool reversed. Aquarius, your opposite sign, and then you got the 6 of Wands. So I feel like that this big change, it's kind of like the silver lining, beautiful occasion that took place. This big change took place, but yet it caused you to not want to actually take any kind of risks. Something was kind of, holding, you back, because if you realize that something was kind of breaking down, instead of trying to fix something or mend the metaphorical tower in other ways, you just kind of watched it kind of break down, so you could actually have this very beautiful acknowledgement that took place. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing. Sometimes, it's like with all these big changes, usually, changes are actually very beneficial because, it more or less just opens up more doors of opportunities, so you can meet new people, will gain new insights, experiences, tastes, flavors, networking, what have you, in other ways. Because the thing is obviously this incident probably also amplified and enhanced this moment of overcoming some form of disappointment as well. So I feel like that this is kind of like a silver lining, positive occasion that probably had to happen, so you could actually also go through some personal healing, but also this grand celebratory occasion that probably took place in your past as well. But anyway, we'll have to continue, because in current times, you do get the High Priestess reverse, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio energy. 4 of Wands, and then you get the Hermit, Virgo energy, one of your neighboring signs. So what I'm kind of getting here is, it's like, maybe, it's like this personal acknowledgement is kind of causing you to also feel like there's a lack of clarity. Maybe you're entering into this new phase that feels, completely different and new for you, because maybe, it's like, let's say that you had to, switch careers with the Tower and stuff like that. Yes, with the Fool reverse, you didn't really want to take any kind of risks, but you knew it was actually going to be benefiting you. Because here you are currently, like maybe in a new area, a new environment, maybe a new job and stuff like that. But you immediately, kind of take, like a duck to water in other ways, because here's your beautiful, happy home, happy earth, happy family, and abundance, and maybe even confidence within yourself. And here you're also doing a lot of introspection. So here you're pretty much kind of processing this whole big change that probably took place in your past. And maybe, it's like you could be presented with an offering of some kind, but there's something that's causing you to feel like you don't have real, much experience in current times, for that matter. But yet, I do love how you do have a lot of confidence afterwards. So it feels like that this looks like a very beautiful offering. But of course, I always want to clarify this. But if something always seems a bit too good to be true regarding any kind of offerings and stuff like that, always read the fine print and contracts to each letter and word, so you actually just feel like thinking, well, this could be some kind of contract that is being presented to you. You actually just think, oh yeah, it's like, I'm just kind of wondering if there could have been a little bit more of a bit of a too hasty kind of act that you could have done, because here you pretty much just think, okay, I don't understand the contract, so I'm just going to immediately hit I approve and stuff like that. And here you are just kind of still going in within to make sure, did we actually do a good thing? But anyway, I don't want to put any too much fear or uncertainty in the people. But I always kind of want to throw that little tiny bit out. Because then in the future you get Judgment reverse, Scorpio energy, but it came in reverse. Then you get 4 of Swords, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini energy, and then you get 6 of Cups. So maybe, it's like this kind of uncertain, vague feeling, even though it's like, Judgment reverse is kind of like your head is in the clouds. You pretty much just feel this sense of uncertainty, you feel like, your vision is a little bit foggy and stuff like all that. So that's why you're kind of also going to be resting up to verify it all, because there's definitely probably not going to be some grand announcement, but it could also, it will be your potential fears of hoping for the best in the future. Because, whenever I do my future cards, I actually, started actually mentioning this about how it may or may not happen, but it could be what you fear. And of thinking, okay, it's like, yeah, I signed this contract without reading it thoroughly, and so yes, I feel confident, but yet I am still going in within to make sure it's what I truly want, and if it really, what feels right and stuff like that. And it could be, that you're worried about thinking, oh goodness, there was a lack of clarity. I need to rest up on it, but yet you do feel incredibly, nostalgia or happy about it either way. But we'll have to look into this. Because for the Tower, you get Daughter of Skulls. So this is like the Page of Pentacles. So this big change opened up this, beautiful, financial journey of yours. So maybe you did have to switch careers. Maybe you did have to change, any kind of area. And so it caused you to have to go out on this, financial journey or voyage in other ways. And you just think, okay, well, let's just hope for the best in other ways. And this could have also been like your metaphorical life raft in other ways as well. Because the General card is definitely about overcoming some form of disappointment. So it's not like it's all lost or even game over or even doom and gloom and stuff. So maybe, this situation had to happen. So more or less kind of forced you to actually, look for some kind of career or job or change careers in other ways as well. Because, well, you don't feel entirely comfortable or confident, or you just pretty much don't want to proceed with this risk or any other ways, but yet you get your beautiful Strength card. So this is interesting because these are two opposite signs. You could definitely have more Leo, or maybe Leo and Aquarius placements as well. So here you are just kind of thinking, okay, I'm going out on this voyage, but I just don't want to take any risks. But yeah, I still see you confident either way. So I feel like that this is a very, very beautiful combination, especially when you are faced with this big change in other ways. So I just feel like, okay, it's like sometimes, you're being presented with changes, with, a new direction. Suddenly, you're heading off towards, some beautiful occasion and stuff like that, and you're in your vehicle and you're driving, and suddenly you get hit with this, detour, and then, that one beautiful route that was probably going to take you only about 5 minutes or something is suddenly shut down, so now you have to go and take a detour, towards something else, and you just think, well, that's the last thing I feel like doing with it, but we're going to proceed with it either way because there's no other, way out of this, Because here, you're getting this very beautiful celebratory acknowledgement and stuff like that. And then you get the Three of Pentacles. And what I love about this card, and it's like this vampiress is using her spinning wheel to collaborate with the spider. So, the vampires could actually create silk fabrics, which is actually one of my favorite fabrics. So here I just actually see you maybe, finally working or teaming up with other people. But it could also be how you just think, okay, it's like, this is a very beautiful acknowledgement, because maybe you do have to take some kind of detour. Maybe you do have to like change careers. Maybe you have to change something and stuff like that. But it probably, or it actually does look like it's, it's actually quite beneficial in many ways. So, I mean, I just remember how the spinning wheel is a machine that my mother used to, use when she made our clothes. But anyway. So for lack of clarity, you pretty much just think, okay, maybe you're heading off towards some kind of career, or maybe, you're actually collaborating with other people. You pretty much just have no idea what's going on. So you get the Lord of Schools, the King of Pentacles. So you do get some form of abundance either way. And maybe, it's like that's what's actually enhancing, this confidence within yourself. So maybe this is you actually, getting into the routine of your new career and stuff like that, or in other ways, and you're just thinking, okay, we're going to have to maybe, instead of, take the plunge, we're going to now have to just, actually, just, we'll have to, just maybe, tiptoe inside the water or inside the pool for that matter. So, wow, it looks interesting, doesn't it? But you could also have, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, or Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo placements within yourself. But this is probably like maybe like the new phase of your career and stuff like that. But here you are with Four of Wands, happy home, happy earth, happy family, confidence, and maybe abundance in other ways because of the King of Pentacles. It's because you get the Eight of Pentacles, hard work. Yep. So that's kind of what I'm getting here is, I just see this new change taking place. I see abundance heading off towards you. But I just think that this is a very, very beautiful silver lining. And I feel like that this week's, reading for, all the zodiac so far, even before you, is that, a lot of humans are pretty much also struggling, but they're also, experiencing their own, silver lining kind of voyage in other ways as well. So, because for the Hermit upright, you get the Five of Grails. Yeah, Five of Grails upright vampire style, and I'm not allowed to show it. So here you could actually just be thinking, oh goodness, it's like, I just don't know if I want to keep doing this. Maybe this is like your first job. You're working incredibly hard. You feel confident. You feel like, you're gaining so much experience, insight, either way and stuff like that. But yet somehow you don't feel happy. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's like, hopefully this is only a temporary situation that you could also transition back into a different career and stuff like that. But here you could be facing some potential unhappiness. And that's the thing, it's like with any kind of big changes and stuff like that, you want to make sure that it's definitely going to be benefiting you or giving you some form of hope and optimism instead of thinking, well, your foundation tower just broke down and now, you pretty much just have to try to look for some kind of, job that you pretty much probably don't want to embark on, stuff like that. So, but anyway, for Judgment reversed, lack of clarity, you pretty much just think, okay, there's no grand announcement, my head is in the clouds, you might feel a little bit overwhelmed, but yet you do get the Six of Cups, so it's the second Six of Cups. So maybe you just have to kind of, process it, maybe you do have to proceed with something, maybe you do have to kind of, go through with something, but yet hopefully, you can try to actually talk yourself into just, holding the metaphorical line in other ways where you just think, okay, right now I could have, suffered maybe a form of disappointment in other ways. But here you just have to keep going because right now you're actually kind of, meant to be where you're meant to be. Because, sometimes, our paths and voyages, sometimes tend to change in other ways where you just think, well, I didn't expect this. Well, that's sometimes these situations happen where you just experience things and you just don't expect it. But here you are going to be looking at the past and thinking, okay, it's like I feel a little bit uncertain, but yet I'm still, trying to look at the positive side of my current situation. Because here you are actually resting and recovering because you get the Four of Grails. So, the thing is maybe, it's like you could also be, because, you're refreshed, you've just woken up, and then here you are being presented an offering of some kind. But I would definitely always look into any kind of offerings for that matter, because the thing is a lot of humans, they tend to kind of read contracts or terms and conditions a bit too swiftly, in the sense where, with any kind of offerings, if something just seems too good to be true, it usually isn't. And if you just think, well, I've just been through nothing but just, the struggling, overcoming big changes and stuff like that, that could also put one in a negative mindset, even though it could potentially be a very beautiful, beneficial offering. But I would definitely look into any kind of offerings, especially when it comes to people approaching you. Because for the Six of Cups, you get the Seven of Swords. So this is where I feel like it's kind of a little bit on the glitchy side. Because if you were to proceed with accepting, any kind of offerings and stuff like that, on a positive note, the Seven of Swords is having an excellent plan, but on a negative note, it's pretty much just having, this, deceptive con artist as well. So, the thing is, it's like, I think word to the wise is that you should be going out and reaching out to people and asking for, their service and offerings rather than having people approaching you. And should people approach you in the sense to say, oh yeah, I can actually present you with this offering and stuff like that, you want to make sure that is a real, realistic and logical good plan that they're providing and offering you with, rather than it just send you off into this maze of uncertainty as well. I mean, it looks incredibly promising, but it also looks like, how you could be incredibly happy about this Four of Cups offering and stuff like that, and then suddenly there's this secret Seven of Swords that's going to try to attach itself to you as well. But it could also be how you could be manifesting something in the future as well. So, but I would always just be so cautious when it comes to any kind of offerings, especially when people approach you, because those are usually, some kind of like marketing or some kind of like commercial, people that just think, oh yeah, it's like we have so much to offer to you, and you just think, but I never asked. So, because special vampire card says 7 of Cups, so there's definitely going to be offerings, being presented to you. So I just think, you're pretty much going to be coming across as like this real magnetic, individual that's going to be, being presented with so many offerings and options and opportunities. But as per usual, I will always keep reminding everybody, even for myself, with any offerings, make sure it's a legitimate and honest offering and not something that's just going to cause like a deceptive individual to potentially show up. Because that's what I think a lot of predators is. They pretty much, they look for all kinds of signs and symbols and all kinds of like ways of thinking, okay, this Leo accepted this offering from this 4 of Cups. Now I'm going to present something as well and see what Leo has to say about that. So I'd always just, double check, read the fine print, contract, ask as many questions as possible, because what, con artists and deceptive people don't like are questions. Because that means that they have to constantly be, thinking about, answers to each question and stuff like that. And it needs to really come across as realistic as possible. Because if they're suddenly caught in the lie, then it's pretty much practically game over for their strategy, Because Oracle says, her last day in the light, unexpected endings, surprise changes, and sudden shifts. So, the thing is you could be, offered, any kind of offerings, and if you were to accept it, it could put you in a very beautiful, unexpected change, shift, stuff like that as well. But again, I would never want to, forget, to mention so often, please make sure it is realistic as possible, and maybe even ask for like a sample or a trial session to see how it goes and stuff like that. Because if these people, if they're pushing themselves upon you to say, oh, you have to accept me, I just have so much, all these qualifications, even though it's pretty much just only one big deceptive lie. But here you just want to make sure with any kind of offerings that it's legitimate and honest, and that other people who you can really trust and stuff like that, and always use your senses and intuition as much as possible, so you can actually really just gain so much good experience and insights and verify all of this information with yourself as well. Wow, what an intense reading, but I'm going to have to finish off by 3 yes or no answers. Please feel free to pause this video and think about the questions you want answered. For number 1, you get a yes with the Magician. For number 2, you get a yes with the Ace of Wands. And for number 3, you get a no with the Queen of Cups reversed. Okay. My beautiful Leos, I'm going to have to leave it at this for now, but if this resonated for Leo placements out in this world, please feel free to join and subscribe to my channel. I want to thank you all so much for joining me in this beautiful evening. I love you guys incredibly. In a few days, I'm going back to love readings, so for now I'm just doing general and love, but I'm also open for personal readings, and all you have to let me know is in the comments section that you want to have a personal reading, and even check out the project page web link on my channel. But other than that, I love you guys incredibly, and as per usual, take excellent good care of yourselves.